A few people asked me to show how I make my pizza dough, so here we are. And this is gonna be a pretty flexible recipe that I follow for basically all the pizzas I make. We start by adding 200 grams of water, 4 grams of dry yeast, and 400 grams of bread flour in a large bowl. We mix everything together by hand, making sure that there is no leftover dry flour in the bowl. But there's no need to mix it too much, because at this stage we don't need any gluten development. And after we're done, we break it into small chunks and we leave it at room temperature for 5 to 6 hours. After this time, the dough should have increased a bit in volume, and if you flip it, you should see a spongy texture on the bottom. At this point, we can add 100 grams of extra water, but we want to make sure that we don't add it all at the same time. So for example, I divide it into 4 to 5 portions that I add while I'm mixing. So after we add the first part of water, I recommend to mix it by hand with the dough for a few seconds just to make sure that they're roughly combined. And after that stage, we can go in with the hand mixer. And when using the hand mixer, I recommend following the same technique that I'm using now in the video. So taking the dough from the side and moving it towards the center of the bowl, and then repeating this process over and over. And every time that the dough doesn't stick to the bottom of the bowl or to the side of the bowl, it means that we are ready to add the next part of water. And we keep going until we are ready to add the last part of water, to which we add also 10 grams of salt. And then we just keep mixing and mixing, following the same technique. And again, when the dough doesn't stick anymore to the bowl, it means it's ready. The downside of the hand mixer is that it generates a lot of heat. So if you have a thermometer at home, try to check the temperature of the dough from time to time and try to stay always below 27 Celsius. A good indicator that we've done a good job and the gluten is fully developed is that the bowl is perfectly clean after we take out the dough. At this point, we're ready to transfer the dough to the counter, and I usually let it sit there for a couple of minutes because it makes it easier to work with. At this point, I stretch it and fold it on itself a couple of times to give that extra strength to the gluten, and I finally shape it into a bowl. And voila, the dough is ready. So at this point, the process is gonna be different depending on the kind of pizza that you want to make. So if you guys wanna see a part 2 of this video, we can pick a type of pizza and then I can show the next steps. But also, if you have any questions, you can drop a comment below or send me a DM on Instagram and I will be happy to help.